Tzu Chi volunteers select practical tool sets for affected residents to rebuild their homeland. Beijing volunteers accompany a pair of young children to go through their mother's last life journey. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Maggie Tsai. Thank you for joining us. On April 29th, the Tzu Chi disaster relief team conducted its second distribution of farming supplies in Tica Village, Mozambique. Volunteers put in much effort and thought into the selection of the supplies. They first asked the affected residents to experiment with 2 sets of tools before choosing the most practical supplies. Here is more.
No need for money, we only ask for your love. The lyrics have spoken of the meaning behind the distribution. How do we cut down the affected residents' waiting time at the distributions? The local volunteers and the disaster relief team have planned 2 distribution routes for the second distribution of farming supplies. They hope to speed up the process and also prepare for future large distributions. 30-year-old Maria has come carrying her baby. She said that she's able to receive the supplies because of God's blessings.
We thank God for receiving these supplies. Thank you. I didn't imagine that in the aftermath of disaster, I could receive so many supplies.
45-year-old Manuel has 10 children. The cyclone had destroyed his home. He has received the aid supplies from charity organizations for the first time. The farming supplies gave him the courage to shoulder the responsibilities as the head of the household.
It is really good, really good. Because I've lost everything after the floods. Therefore, I'm very grateful. All the supplies are what I need the most. With these supplies, I can rebuild the house.
The disaster relief team has put in much effort to prepare 11 construction supplies.
When we were planning what supplies to give out, we thought about their needs. We looked at the list given to us by the National Emergency Disaster Relief Center and World Vision. We bought 3 sets of supplies. What did we do with the 3 sets of supplies? We gave them to different affected residents and asked them to use them. During the reconstruction progress, we found out that the nails come in 2 different sizes. Then we found out that the long nails are very much needed by them. They do not need the short nails as much, therefore we increased the amount of long nails by 3 times.
Volunteers are extremely mindful as local volunteers and affected residents constructed the houses together before the final selection of the tools. Their mindfulness has made the supply distribution much more practical.
At Tzu Chi's free clinic in Mexico, the medical team not only provides free medical services but also inspire many local residents to join volunteer services. Students from various schools also came to help with translation. Let's take a look.
Today we're here to carry out a medical outreach free of charge in Santa Cruz, Xochimilco. Yes, today you see an increase in volunteers.
The volunteers come from Coyoacan, Talpan, Polanco, Santa Cruz, San Gregorio, Xochimilco, and Jojutla. In addition, students from various schools also volunteered at the free clinic.
We have invited the students from 2 different schools. They come from a very, very privileged background, and they are perfectly bilingual.
We came here to help the people and provide translation services for both the doctors and patients. I was moved by Tzu Chi's assistance for people from impoverished households. That's why I joined the volunteers.
We have to change the world for the better. We can make it through volunteering. I'm willing to be a part of this.
This is education. We bring students outside the classroom to witness the reality and how a group of people can make a difference and help another group of people.
I have served an individual who is a senior. He was injured in an accident 22 years ago, so he is still suffering from pain now.
After that accident, I have been troubled by multiple fractures. 3 years ago, my arm started to become like this. I need to remove bone plates and screws and then put in a clamp instead because the bone is not fixed.
From his x-ray, his bone is not fixed well. It's already displaced and the bones are separated.
I'm helping with massage and also stretching exercises for the muscle.
He showed me stretching techniques and they gave me a massage. They say my muscles were all tangled up and stiff. I feel much better after having it done. It also helps improve my mood.
We have more and more volunteers locally. Together we serve more.
Tzu Chi volunteers in central Taiwan have begun to dismantle the humanitarian Tica Pavilion. If there is anything useful, they will keep it for further use. The volunteers will truck the parts to Tzu Chi Melee grounds.
The volunteers are removing wires and boards from the humanitarian Ecotech Pavilion. In just 2 hours, they have removed half of the displays.
We work together. If there's any work, we do it together.
It wasn't easy to install all of them. It took us almost 1 month, but when we dismantled them, we Tzu Chi volunteers were able to quickly remove everything. We finally completed the task Dome Master Zheng Yan asked us to do.
This joint model of the half of the Earth seems difficult to move, but actually it is not so.
When the volunteer designed it, he designed a stand for it. We simply lifted it up and inserted the stand into the hole at the bottom. Then we can transport it very easily.
The volunteers try to find ways to reuse the waste from displays that have been dismantled.
Some of them can be recycled. As for the big ones, we will use a big truck to move them. And for the small ones, we will use our recycling truck. Some of them are fragile, but we wrap them very carefully.
We use newspapers and also cellophanes for wrapping, so we can remove them there and recycle them.
The volunteers are ahead of schedule in dismantling the pavilion. In a day or 2, they will be able to restore the site to its original appearance.
Taiwan's annual average precipitation is 2,500 millimeters, which is 3 times the world average. Despite the abundant rainfall, Taiwan is often troubled by water shortages, even ranking amongst the countries which experience global water shortage. Taiwan's water use in agriculture accounts for up to 70% of water, with irrigation water accounting for more than 90% of this amount. Experts believe that water-saving techniques such as SRI rice cultivation techniques can save some 30% of this water and better prepare farmers for the effect of climate changes.
The tender green rice seedlings are rolled up, which is frontline work that the farmers can omit when they plant fields. No machine can do it for you as one has to bend over yourself. These bundles of rice seedlings are all sent onto the conveyor belt for transport. Light rain in March makes this time for planting rice. This is a typical scene in the field during this season. The rice transplanter rumble through the field, with green rice seedlings neatly planting these paddy fields. In just a few moments, these fields are being planted. Farmers operating this machinery are able to identify the fact that this planting the field is different from other paddy fields. This rice is actually different than other rice used by other farmers. When we look closely at the seedlings, the spacing seems to be wide and the water level in the paddy is relatively low. This is a characteristic of SRI. Many may wonder what is SRI. It stands for System of Rice Intensification, and the owner of this farm is Chen Jianhong.
Now I'm trying to prevent the water from going into the field. This field basically won't lose water anymore.
Chen Jianhong's field uses the SRI system, which originated from Madagascar in the 1980s. It is based upon three main characteristics. SRI practices include more sun, more cultivation, and more organic matter. In another area, it requires less seedlings, less pesticide, less water, and less fertilizer. Among these savings, less water completely breaks the traditional practice of traditional rice cultivation. Chen Jianhong's field is much different from neighboring rice fields.
This is probably just to keep water at a certain level, so he lets it flow all the time. This means that excess water has been drained. I'm not at that water level, so I cut off the water to stop it from coming in. Yes, I don't have any water draining from my field.
With climate change and scarce water for agriculture, SRI is one possible solution as we travel north to look at this field.
This is the apple snail. This field hasn't been weeded, so it's a better environment for them.
He's a domestic farmland water conservancy expert, Gan Jun-er. From his perspective on the implementation of the water-saving SRI technology for this Guandu farmland sets a very clear example.
Look at this field. Its water level is quite in line with the spirit of our SRI principles. That is, its water level is within 1 to 3 centimeters. We can't exceed this level in Taiwan. Flooding the field at 5 to 10 centimeters is too much, and what most fields do.
Agricultural irrigation is a major consumer of water in Taiwan. It is necessary to save water by improving loss rates in ditches and avoiding water leakage. Secondly, the water conservancy means strengthened irrigation management. And third, teaching farmers about correct water, including SRI.
If you are willing to accept the concept of SRI, then you will not only be able to improve your own farming methods, but also increase your production. And you can reduce the large amount of water on the ground by, roughly speaking, 30 to 50%.
It is not difficult for farmers to accept new ideas and save water.
People need to eat, and so do crops. It is a living thing, and it needs something to eat. The thing it eats is called fertilizer. There are some trace elements of fertilizer in the soil, and crops are like people, that they need digestive enzymes to transform this and absorb it. The crop also must rely on conversion by some microorganisms in the soil. They turn these large particles into small particles and allow the roots of the crop to absorb. This allows the crop to grow and produce a yield. This is the main purpose of SRI, which we explain to farmers.
Microorganisms need just the right amount of water. This is something that they are teaching to farmers as water conservation is important. Chen Jianhong's SRI farm sprays probiotics and deliberately maintains a low water level as the optimal environment for crops. This allows the roots of the rice to be strong with the quality quite good. Because of concerns about environmental issues, Chen Jianhong was willing to try SRI practices. In fact, he only has 3 years of this agricultural experience. At the end of 2014 and the beginning of 2015, Taiwan's 10-year drought had caused the total area of farmland to stop irrigation reaches 44,000 hectares. This taught many to be aware of the fact that rains may be stopping. When climate change becomes a fact of daily life, how to break water dependency during periods of water shortage is quite important. It is not just a task for experts, but also something that needs to concern everyone.
In Yi County, China, there's a girl named Kang Yu who quit school temporarily to take care of her mother who suffered from terminal ovary cancer. For over a year, Kang Yu has been shouldering the responsibility of caring for her mother and her little brother. Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers visit them often to show love. However, at the end of March, her mother passed away after a long battle with the illness. Volunteers send their condolences and promise to always look after the two children. Mrs. Kang lies weakly in the bed. However, when she sees the picture taken with her children, she shows a satisfied smile.
这个好，对吧？这还有一张，这张好吧？这张喜欢吧？这张好，是吧？妈妈叠的，是我的叠。这是康晨教给您的吗？他都记住啦。
She understands her condition clearly. It has worsened and now it's difficult for her even to drink water. She can only rely on morphine to ease her pain.
After Lunar New Year, some Beijing volunteers still worried about Mrs. Kang's illness, so they revisited again to give Kang Yu their support.
What's the only way to not add burden to others? It's to take good care of yourself. Good luck. Illness is not scary as long as the whole family unites and love each other. We can fight the illness together.
After March, Mrs. Kang's condition got extremely bad. In just a month, volunteers visited again and brought some flowers for Mrs. Kang. She showed a touching smile.
这是我第一句话，也是我人生的第一句话。是吗？这是刺激，是我这一辈子最开心也最幸运的事儿。一定要跟生命做抗争。我得给我们也做榜样啊。
I must fight for my life because I must be a role model for my daughter, right? I cannot give up. She hopes I can live as long as possible. It's her biggest wish to be able to see me every day. So's mine.
是她最大的信仰。我也是。
Because of her children, Mrs. Kang uses all of her strength to fight the illness. She wants to seize the time that she's still alive to tell her daughter her expectations for her.
我最大的心愿就是说，我闺女有一颗。
My biggest wish is that my daughter can have a kind and grateful heart because a grateful heart is the most enriching wealth in a person's whole life.
是这人生一辈子最大的。
Just when Mrs. Kang's words still linger in the room, the illness eventually took her away on March 21st, leaving 17-year-old Kang Yu and 11-year-old Kang Chen on their own in this world.
其实你上大学，我们也在，好吗？所以不要辜负他这份努力，知道吗？包括姨这么多的人都那么关心你们，对吧？
On the journey of life, Kang Yu's mother has bid them farewell. However, volunteers will always be there to love and care for her brother and her no matter what. There were a heavy snowstorm in Yushu State in Qinghai Province in China in March. Sichuan and Qinghai volunteers sent love to 7 villages in Qinshuihe town. In April, volunteers went to the villages once again to provide scholarships for children of herdsmen. Sichuan Tzu Chi volunteers have once again came to Yushu State in Qinghai Province since their last visit in March. 12 volunteers are busy checking their roster and documents because they're about to give scholarships to impoverished students in 5 schools in Chengdu County.
During the disaster assessment of the snowstorm in Yushu, we've come to realize the financial loss of the affected families. To lessen their financial burden, we will provide living subsidies for more than 200 students in 7 villages of Qinshuihe town.
Volunteers sent love to many herdsmen in Qingshuihe town in March. Therefore, this time they focus on helping the 40 students in 8-1 vocational school.
Society is developing and the herdsmen are more open-minded now. They understand that the children must go to school to learn knowledge in order to find jobs or elevate their life quality.
These herdsmen have suffered greatly after the snowstorm. However, they try to sustain their children's education despite the hardships.
My parents lend a hand in other places to herd sheep and cows. They try their best to send us here for school so that we can achieve our dreams and change our destiny. I'm grateful for people who have been helping us. Because of them, we feel care and warmth.
The snow disaster has connected Tzu Chi and local herdsmen again after 23 years. Volunteers hope to provide some future hope to these scholarship recipients. In Neihu, Taipei, there is a Tzu Chi care recipient, Ms. Lu, who suffers from terminal cancer and has been hospitalized. Since her daughter normally stays in her school dorm, there is only her son living at her home. However, her son is troubled by mental illness, so he is unable to do household chores, causing the home to be quite messy. Thankfully, Tzu Chi came to help them clean their home.
Lunch boxes, clothes, and many other items are scattered on the floor, causing the house to be quite messy.
Her daughter stays in her school dorm, so normally there's only her son living in the house. Her son hasn't yet kept it a habit to putting everything in order, so he had been piling things up like the way we saw when we visited him today.
This is Tzu Chi care recipient Miss Lu's home. She's not able to care for household chores due to her hospitalization, so she asks Tzu Chi for help.
At the end of last year, their mom received a terminal cancer diagnosis, so she has been hospitalized until now. That's why she is not able to clean her home. In addition, her son suffers from mental illness and is not willing to take medicine, causing chaos in the house. Therefore, we seized the chance to encourage her son to clean the home together.
It is my brother who messed up the house, so I feel ashamed that Tzu Chi volunteers came to help us clean up. I am very thankful to them for sparing their time to help us.
After cleaning, the house is restored to its former look. Volunteers hope the brother and sister can keep their house clean.
If there is trash on the floor, I should pick it up immediately. If there is a bad odor, I should go find out what the odor comes from and then clear out the trash.
The Franklin City, northeastern Texas, was struck by a hurricane in mid-April and 55 houses were destroyed. Tzu Chi joined hands with the Red Cross to conduct aid distribution. We'll leave you with these images and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.